Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Zach bringing you another Pokemon Unite tutorial video. I've got you broadcasted here on my holodeck screen so we can communicate directly. I'm wearing my nice little, collared button-up shirt for the fall months as they come on. Hope y'all are enjoying the change of season. I certainly am. Weather's getting a lot better. I love the autumn colors, and I get to wear the warm clothing. It's all very comfy. Of course, not a lot of the warm clothing fits anymore because I outgrew it, but I'm sure we'll have a hoodie or something we'll find to survive the next few months. I'm gonna turn down the music a little bit in the background. This is I had this in another video as well. I like this ambience a lot on my second monitor, but it's definitely a distraction sometimes. I'll show you guys real quick what I'm talking about. This is it. Ooh, pretty. Okay, let me drop it so you can see it. But it's Stand Still by Disaster Piece. It's this cool visuals and it's this nice music. Anyway, that's what I got in the background. So I want to talk to you today about what are we here for? We're here to talk about items because people talk a lot about held items, and I think that's when you talk about Pokemon that are pretty much owned by everyone, like Venusaur, Pikachu, Ninetales, Slowbro, like all the free-to-play stuff, and then also like, really popular Pokemon like Charizard, stuff like that. I feel like held items are pretty much figured out on these Pokemon, but I feel like a lot of players, especially when they climb the ranks and didn't really get to do that by playing support or defender, they don't really know how to play these other roles, and the held items sort of intimidate them. And I think that a really big thing about playing ladder games and being effective for your team is being able to play support and defender, because they're very important roles for your team. So, if you're struggling with these roles, if you need some assistance in advancing and improving, in upping your game, this is the kind of video for you. We're going to talk about what sort of held items you should be using in these labs and classes. First of all, I want to introduce a concept or a split concept, right? There's essentially two main item builds on all of what I'm going to call these helper Pokemon. This is supporters and defenders. I call these helpers. All your helper Pokemon have generally between them two main item builds. You go XP share utility, or you go stacking. And stacking is really useful because it gives you a lot of stats. So I don't know if you know how stacking works, but when you score a goal, you get a stats increase that's permanent for the entire game. You can get up to 6 stacks. So if you play really aggressively really early in the game, you can score a lot of tiny goals really quickly, like 2, 5, 2, 5, And you can get up to 6 stacks, and then you have like these stat gains that are really impressive. Like on Aeos Cookie, for instance, I have it max level, so it's HP 240 at base, and then it gives you another 200 per stack. Remember, you can get 6 stacks, so it's 1440 extra HP when you have full stacks. Guys, I don't know if you know how this game works. Let me show you some numbers real quick. Let me show you some numbers. When we're talking about gaining 1440 HP, this is the Eldegoss stat page on Unite API. I recommend this website. I talked about it a lot before. Let me zoom in a little so you guys can see a little better. Here we go. Okay. So look at these HP values, right? Let's say you're a level 9 Eldegoss. That's like a reasonable place to be at 5 minutes, right? Like your lane went pretty decently, or you've like got a chance to use your Unite move once or something, or you just got it, and you're like ready to start team fighting. So you're around this HP normally, right? If you have plus 1440 HP, that puts you roughly like 6500, right? That's like between level 12 and 13 worth of HP. In other words, at 5 minutes, you have as much HP as a 12 or 13 Eldegoss. That is insane. That is like, you are so tanky at that point in the game, you can do anything for your team. And Eldegoss is a great Pokemon to get that tanky with. And this is sort of getting into the discussion of why you want to play the stacking build. Is Eldegoss hits this really nice power spike, right? And is a really strong support. And then you have really good moves to like leverage your tankiness into playing like a defender as well. You have Pollen Puff, which when you get your plus at 11, which is pretty easy to get because it's just an 11, it restores it gives you extra damage resistance, and if you throw an enemies, it deals damage over time. So it's like way better of a utility tool. And of course, the healing at base in general is just really, really strong. This is like the best move in the game. Any other Pokemon that has this move, it's a straight upgrade. I'm gonna make an Eldegoss guide, and I'm gonna go into super big depth about Pollen Puff and why this move is amazing. But just let it be known, this is an incredible move. You just pick this every time. And you have Cotton Spore as well, right? Or Cotton Yard. So this one, you just get a shield and then you restore HP. That's like you just make yourself and everyone around you so much tankier. It's like so useful. And then Cotton Spore, also, I prefer this one actually. It's really good. You get this big area effect around you. You get his increased movement speed. When it ends, you deal damage around you and you stun everybody. So it's a damage dealing tool because it deals damage around you when it ends. It's a movement tool because it gives you extra movement speed. It's and it's like a control tool. Like you can control people in fights by stunning them with the move at the end. It's like it's so useful in so many ways. And then also when you get the upgrade at 13, you get extra defense and special defense when you use it. So you just become really, really tanky. Like if you have a Cotton Spore plus and a Pollen Puff plus and you just throw both on yourself, they like can't kill you. It's ridiculous. And then that's why I run Resonant Guard as well, because you're constantly dealing damage in fights and you just get so tanky with so much HP that it actually gives a really substantial shield to you and your allies. So in case you didn't know, I didn't know this until relatively recently. Resonant Guard gives HP to you and a nearby ally based on your own HP. It's like a percentage of it. So if you play a Pokemon that's got really good HP in the late game, this item just gives you so much shield to you and your allies. And this gives you more HP, so that's more shield as well. And then you run special attack specs that gives you a lot of damage, right? So again, we'll just do the numbers. So it gives you 16 base. I haven't maxed it yet, but it's okay. And then another 16 per stack. So if you add this, it's like 7 times 16. So what is that? That's like 112 special attack. Let me just make sure I got that right. I'm stupid. Yeah, 112. Okay. I should just trust my math. I'm good at math. I'm a math minor, guys. I don't know if you know that. Anyway, 112 special attack. Let's just look at the numbers again, right? Level 9, that's a good point of comparison. Which of these is special attack? This column right here. Well, if you go to 11, right? 387. 112 is like... It's like 30% of your total special attack. Like... just looking at numbers, that's like as much as a level 13 Eldegoss. Like, you're so strong. So between those two items, if you're like a level 11 Eldegoss at Rayquaza, it doesn't even matter because you have all these insane stats. And then if you're at level 13, you're like even better than level 15. You're like so insanely buff. It's awesome. So that's why I love playing the stack build on Eldegoss. You run these two in Resonant Guard. And Resonant Guard is also just good for laning. It makes your laning phase really strong because when you're like doing these minor exchanges back and forth to contest farm, you're constantly like getting in minor tussles with the opponent. And what that means is in all these engagements, you're going to come out ahead because Resonant Guard is going to give you a little bit of extra wiggle room and your ally, so you can sort of get them some soft save. And so you can lane an enemy for another second or so, whereas they don't have that shield unless they also have a Resonant Guard. And I think that it's pretty much necessary in every helper to run Resonant Guard if you can. Some Pokemon in very specific situations don't run it, but in general, most helpers want to always run Resonant Guard. It's just that good of an item. And then you run for the stacks build for any of the other helpers. You do Aeo's Cookie and then attack weight if you're physical attack or special attack specs if you're special attack. And you see below Eldegoss' special attack, so we do special attack specs. And like, where's a good example of one that I have the other one on? Oh, like this guy. I run attack weight because he's attack. Anyway, so that is the stack build, the very basic version of the stack build. It's what I prefer to play when I play support or defender because it's my most played roles and I'm very good at it. And what it means is you're more independently powerful as the game progresses. So normally people don't like to play support and defender because it's like, oh, if my team is bad, then I can't do anything and the game is over because I'm supporting a bunch of idiots. And it's like, that's true if you're running the XP share build. But if you're running the stack build, what that means is in that situation where your team sucks, you can just solo carry the game. You just like control the fight really efficiently with Eldegoss' mobility, tankiness, healing, you know, and you have your Unite move to control things really well and save your allies if you need to. You're like this really strong threat in the late game. If you can just leverage that into buying your team enough space and time to do what they need to do in team fights, you can win the game. You can solo carry as support. I have done it more times than I can count. And there's so many good defenders these days, you can do the same on defender. So really, truly, if you're afraid of these roles because you don't think your team will be good, try the stack build and just learn to stack, you know? I mean, it's kind of tough. You have to take a lot of risks early on because you're constantly running out back and forth between your goal zone and their goal zone to steal farm and like get little orbs on the ground and score as quickly as you can to get all your stacks really early in the game. It's scary, it's spooky if you're not good at it, but you get good at it as you play it, you know? And when you get good games off of it, it feels really good. it's the sort of thing that it allows you to, even in like, you know, veteran or ultra rank, you can just solo carry games. Like what I do every season to reset, because you get put back to ultra 3 if you're master. I just play Eldegoss like 20 games in a row and get to master again immediately, because I just play this build every game and I just solo carry every game. It's like you just do everything. In the late game, you're tankier than any attacker. You're like faster than them as well. You deal more damage than defenders, so you can 1v1 them. And like speedsters, you can outlast their damage bursts and then kill them back with your Unite move. It's crazy. So you can literally 1v1 anyone on Eldegoss. It's really cool. And the stack build is how it's possible. The alternative build, the other build that you see a lot of is what I'm going to call the XP share utility build. So you run XP share. The way XP share works real quick. I'll just explain this item and then I'll explain how the rest of the build works, because this is the sort of the linchpin of the operation. So what XP share does is, I'll just read what it says. While the Pokemon that has the fewest XP points on its team, it gains 5 more XP per second. In addition, when a nearby teammate defeats a wild Pokemon, that teammate gains slightly more XP points. So what does this mean? What this means is you generate more XP over time for your team just by having this item equipped. Because your allies, as they get last hits, will get more, and then you, because you have less XP than them, you'll get more XP over time. So it's like, what XP Share does is it allows your team to get more resources out of the map than is normally there, because you convert the XP that's there into more XP for yourself and the people around you. And there's always going to be someone that's got the least XP on your team, right? So if they're always going to be the guy that's got XP share, it's a really natural combo. And supports and defenders, guess what, are usually lower XP in their team because they're contesting objectives. They don't have all the time in the world to farm that attackers and all-rounders and speedsters do. You've seen them. They spend the whole game farming your jungle, and you're like, guys, we have objectives to play on the map. You're always lower XP than them because they're spending the whole game farming, and they're just sacrificing you every time. So XP share gives you a little bit back from that. So it's not so bad. Then, of course, like I said before, Resonant Guard is still a very good item. Even if you're not stacking, you get a little bit of HP off of XP share, so it's helpful for that for Resonant Guard. And again, on most helpers in the late game, you're constantly dealing or taking damage, so Resonant Guard will just be constantly useful. It's a very, very good item. And it makes your laning phase really strong as well, so it just helps your team. Like, these two help your teammates become strong earlier in the game. And that's really important if you're playing these, because you're not going to be as strong, right? Because you have XP share and Resonant Guard is two of your items. You have no way to boost your damage off of these items. This is strictly, I'm helping my team. What this means is, as the game goes on, you're going to sort of what we call falling off or scaling off, where you're going to be less useful as the game goes on. So what you want to do is, for your third item, is figure out what can sort of elongate your usefulness. Or in some cases, what's a good combo with just what your Pokemon does. So for most of these Pokemon, you have several good options. You could run like something that helps you be a little stronger, like Muscle Band isn't bad in some Pokemon. Focus Band is a generally good utility option just because it gives you really good tankiness in lane. And in the late game, if you can survive the initial burst of damage, it'll heal you up pretty substantially, and you can actually re-engage quickly, which is nice for healers like Eldegoss, Umbreon, and stuff like that. Buddy Bear is another nice option. Again, all of these helpers end up with a lot of HP in the late game. That's sort of how they want to play. This gives you even more, and it makes it so your massive HP pool gives a nearby ally and yourself a shield when you use your Unite move. So it gives your Unite move even more strength. So Buddy Bear is another nice option. You can do like a half stack build if you want to play like Ao's Cookie or just like special attack specs or whatever else. I've done that every once in a while. It's not so bad. I don't like it so much though, because generally when I'm stacking, I want to get the max value out of it. I want both stacked items. So if I can't play both, I don't really want either, and I want to like make my living phase better by not stacking, and then like have some other item that's useful in some other way. Rescue Hood's also not a bad option on healers. I see a lot of hate for this item online, and people don't really like it very much. Honestly, whenever I play this on healers, I'm really impressed. It's like, I've had Blissey games where I get like 130,000 healing. It's crazy, y'all. This item is not bad. So if you like being a healer and you play like the healer build, especially on Pokemon like Eldegoss, like that have 2 healing moves, you can just pick both and then play Rescue Hood and you're like really useful to your team. On tanky defenders that have physical attack, like Trevenant. Oh, sorry buddy, I'm doing a thing right now. Like Trevenant, like Ho-Oh, stuff like that, weakness policy can be really cool because that's percentage-based scaling. And that means in the late game, when your attack pool is already so large just from leveling up as you do over the course of the game, you're getting a lot out of it. So this item is really solid as well. What else? I've experimented some with leftovers recently. I've come to the conclusion that it's not a good item, but it's not as bad as some people think. I think that it's kind of fitting that they gave it to you as your first held item because it's like the simplest and it's the most generally useful. I mean, there are just some game states where you're just waiting around a lot or you're hiding in bushes and leftovers just lets you heal back up a little bit. I mean, I will say the healing is actually freaking unnoticeable until you have this item to 20 plus. So if you're gonna use it, you gotta spend some of these things. Otherwise, you're gonna be very sad. What else? Slick Spoon can be nice on people that are kind of good at dealing damage anyway. Like Eldegoss is a good option. Also, utility attackers that want to play support role with XP share, like Pikachu, you can run Slick Spoon because it actually gives you really good damage scaling into the late game. Or, you know, like Mew or something like that. It's not bad, and it gives you a little bit of HP. It's a fine item. I see Energy Amplifier a lot. I don't like it very much. I think it's actually not very good because all you're getting out of it is the stats. What it actually does is like so useless. Like you get 21% damage boost like on Eldegoss or on like Blastoise. Like, yeah, maybe you can kill one person, but I don't know. It seems kind of useless. You just die faster because you have no tankiness from it. That's the other thing you have to think about as one of these helper roles is, does this item make me tankier? And if not, what is it doing for me? If it's not making you tankier, then that means in the late game, you're going to be able to tank less. That's just obvious, right? And what that means is, if your team can't kill the enemy team fast enough, you're just going to die and the game's going to be over and it's going to feel really bad. So, I don't know. I always favor tankiness if I can, and this gives you none. That's sort of how a lot of these items are. They're just not very good by comparison. Generally, sometimes you can run the curse items if no one on your team has one, or if you feel like you need an extra one on your team against like an Umbreon or a Goodra, or like, let's say if they have like a Blissey and another healer, like an Umbreon or like a Trevenant. People that just, basically people that heal a lot, these items can be really, really useful as a support item. Like, I've done this on Eldegoss several times, and this has worked very well, actually. I like this build a lot. If you're playing the XP share build this game, you do this. So, what do I mean when you're playing the XP share build? Well, as I said, there's always going to be someone on your team that's the least XP, right? There only can be one person that is the least XP. You can't have two with the least XP. And so, you don't ever want to run 2 XP shares. Otherwise, one of them is never going to get the full value. And so, it's naturally, like we said before, it's so good to stack, right? So, it's really natural, like, I don't want to run XP share, I'll just stack instead, because that's really good as well. So, stacking and XP share are the two builds. And you should always adhere to one or the other. XP share is really nice just for squeezing more resources out of the map, and stacking just lets you scale really, really well into the late game. Let's see, are there Pokemon? What else do I want to talk about with item builds? Because I feel like that covers all the major concepts. I guess I'll just go through some of my favorite builds and Pokemon and stuff and talk about, like, generally good ways to play them, stuff like that. See, all the classes you probably understood from me hinting at. This is my favorite build. You do this with these items, and every game, if you get all your stacks, you are just an unstoppable juggernaut in the late game. What I'll often do on Eldegoss is at 3 minutes, like, before it's going to be 2 minutes, so you have 1 minute left to farm, I'll just ignore everything on the map and just go farm all of jungle to guarantee I get my 13, and you just can't die. It's so awesome. They just can't kill you on Eldegoss, and with X speed, you're just running around chasing people, like hunting them down. It is insane, y'all. This is an insane build. I love it so much. It's my tried and true. Eldegoss is the best supporter in the game for this reason, hands down. The other build that's nice to do is you run Cotton Guard instead of Cotton Spore, and then you do the XP share build. And then your third item can be that Rescue Hood we talked about earlier, because that's really nice with, the Cotton Guard. Like, that's usually what I do if I'm running XP share and Eldegoss, is I'll go Cotton Guard plus Pollen Puff, and then I'll run the XP share Rescue Hood. And it's like a very solid build. You could also do Focus Band if you like it. If you want to run Cotton Spore with XP share, then you can do Slick Spoon like we talked about. That's not bad. But I feel like you don't want to do anything too crazy. Eldegoss is very, like, straightforward Pokemon. Don't put a hat on a hat. Just sort of play it as what it is. Buddy Berry is another good option. Another build I ran for a long time on Eldegoss was XP share, Buddy Barrier, and Rescue Hood. So you have no Resonant Guard, but you're not dealing damage as much in the late game, so you don't really care about Resonant Guard. But the issue is then your laning phase is way weaker, and I don't think that the Rescue Hood benefits plus the the Buddy Barrier stuff is worth sacrificing the Resonant Guard overall. So I don't think it's as good, but it is also an option. Or you can just go Resonant Guard, XP Share, Buddy Barrier. That's like a really... That's actually probably the easiest build to play Eldegoss, is you run those three, you run Pollen Puff, and then you pick whichever one of these you want. And this just gives you a save now. You can just save anyone. If they're about to die, you press this button, and they get a big shield, and they don't die. That's pretty awesome. But again, you want these items to be maxed out if you can, because those items also scale really well with stats. Like Buddy Barrier gives you 450 HP at max level. That is a lot of HP, y'all. So, very solid stuff for Eldegoss. What other supports do I want to talk about? I'll talk about 2 util guys and then 2 healer guys. And I want to do a guide on Umphy someday, so I'm going to save Comfy. And I don't really like Hoopa very much, so I'm not going to talk about Hoopa. Wigglytuff. What was this? What was going on there? I don't know what that was. Maybe I was just looking at stuff. Anyway. So generally the build you see most commonly on Wigglytuff is you do these items, and then either of these, and then Sing. And people like this build a lot because it offers you several things that are very nice. First of all, Wigglytuff gets a lot of HP in general, so all these items give HP as well, and then you have Buddy Barrier and Resonant Guard to give your allies shields. You're just like a big tanky guy. It's like you become a really good tank with these items, actually. And then, of course, XP Share just helps your ally in lane. So, like, in lane, you're just the bodyguard, you know? You walk around with your weak-ass little attacker everywhere, and you just make sure he doesn't die and gets all his farm. And then he's happy, and then you're happy, and everyone's happy. It's awesome. And it's perfect because you hit level 4 really early and get Sing. And Sing is awesome. Rollout, I actually prefer if you're stacking. But Sing is really nice, just in general. And then Double Slap or Dazzling Gleam. So, I've looked at the numbers a lot between these two. I've tested a lot of things. Double Slap, your damage is kind of random because you don't know how many hits you're going to get every time. On average, it is more damage than Dazzling Gleam, but Dazzling Gleam is like fixed. Like, you don't have to gamble, you know? And I think what sets it over the top for me is Dazzling Gleam is a lower cooldown. It's not a lot, but it matters a lot in the late game when you're trying to spam these moves off cooldown as quickly as you can. Because you're just frontlining, you're constantly taking and dealing damage. You just want to throw out everything you can as quickly as you can until they can kill you. And Dazzling Gleam gets out more often in those cases. Which, again, is nice for stuff like Resonant Guard, because you're triggering it more often. Because you need to be dealing damage constantly to constantly get the benefits, right? The stacking build, like I said, rollout is really nice, because when you get them a special attack off of your stacking, you start to deal insane damage with rollout. And you can get situations where I'm sure you see every once in a while, or maybe on Reddit or YouTube or whatever, where someone goes like in one of the areas with 2 walls, and a Wigglytuff just kills him, just rolling out back and forth. And you just do that so much faster when you have stacking items. And guys, it's insane. Like, you literally can't do anything. If you jump from the bounce pad, like, over the wall and land here, and the Wigglytuff just waits there, you just die. I've done it so many times to people. It's like the funniest thing ever. Don't ever use those bounce pads, guys. They're freaking... In the late game, anyway, they are a nightmare. Don't use them. They're so scary. You just jump into who knows what, and someone kills you. Anything else to say on this build? No, that's pretty much it. Like I said, you're just very tanky, you're very annoying. And then, of course, this gives you a good shield, right? And your allies get shields, and this gives more shields, and this gives more shields. It's like, you're just a really annoying tank in all these mid and late game fights, so really awesome. I like to play Potion with it for that reason, because it lets you be just a really annoying, super annoying tank. Like, this is how I most commonly play Wigglytuff these days. And stacking build is also good too, also very fun. And then we'll talk about Mime. So, Mime, get out of here. I don't want you. I want this. I want the good stuff. So, Mime, I am gonna throw out some hard truths, some hard facts here that some Mime people are gonna really hate on, but here goes. Power Swap Psychic sucks. It's not good. Confusion Barrier is so much better. Walls just kill people. I have a Mime video I need to upload where I watched it again recently. It was crazy on my desktop. I literally one-shot a Venusaur from full HP, pretty much. It's insane. When you're stacking with these, you just get so much damage. And then you're so tanky already as Mime that Resonant Guard is like a perfect fit. This is a really good build. If you like Power Swap Psychic, I know I was kind of being harsh for a second there, but honestly, it's not horrible. If you like it, you can play it, but I'm just telling you the truth is Barrier Confusion. Just try it, just play it, you'll see what I mean. These moves are just like kind of smelly by comparison, but they're still fine. If you like them, you can play them. You don't mix and match across. Just pick one or the other. And then either build is fine. Whether you stack or whether you go utility. If you're going utility, again, Potion is nice, sort of in the similar idea to Wigglytuff. So you can also run Buddy Barrier on Mime. If you're running Power Swap, don't run Rescue Hood. It's not a good idea. You can run Focus Band, which is really nice on Mime, just to be a little tankier, to get a little more time to spam, your abilities, because they're really annoying for your opponents. I don't know, I feel like those are pretty much all you want to do. You can do leftovers if your team sucks and has no healer and you have to constantly tank for your team and you have like no defender. So you just hide in the bushes for a while and then jump out again and you're full. Woo! That's pretty much all I have to say on Mime. Let me look at the other two healers now. So, we were talking about Blissey before. Blissey, I love this Pokemon, y'all. It's one of the best Pokemon in the game. It's not as good as Eldegoss, but it is definitely an S-tier support. Blissey remains very, very good, even after all the changes to other Pokemon around it. And this is what Blissey does is very, very efficient. Basically, Blissey provides for your team like a 200,000 damage cushion over the course of the game. And so you constantly have extra room to like go a little further in fights and then retreat after you got a really risky kill. Because guess what? Blissey heals you back up really quickly. You both run away and hide, and then you're both ready to go again. It's really, really good. And so, again, either build is fine on Blissey. I love stacking on Blissey and playing Rescue Hood because in the late game, you just can't die. It's one of those things where you just can't die in the late game. It's insane. You run the egg build. The egg build is still the best build. I know they buffed the other ones recently, but it still sucks. I tried it. It's not good, guys. Healing is just better than whatever these things do. It's like, it's just too gimmicky. You just want heals. Heals are just consistent, reliable, useful in so many situations. There's other stuff is probably good in some cases, but heals are just better more often, and it's easier to use. Your team will like you for healing them, You want to know? You want to know how you farm thumbs up? Is you play Blissey, because every game, everyone on your team thumbs up because they just like love Blissey. Blissey's awesome. Get out of here. So these items or stacking is fine. You could also do Rescue Hood, Buddy Barrier, or Resonant Guard, Buddy Barrier. Focus Band is okay. If you're gonna get that much defense, you might as well just run Rescue Hood anyway, because your healing is really, really good. What other things to talk about? Oh, always run X-Speed. Don't run Potion or anything else, because X-Speed lets you just help people faster, and that's what your job is in the entire game, is just run around helping people. So X-Speed is really, really good. That's always what you run. That's pretty much all there is to say about Blissey. Just a really, really good Pokemon. If you haven't played it before, definitely give it a try. Very, very fun to play. Very, very useful to many teams. Blissey's awesome. And then Clefable, my lock of the week. Right now, this Pokemon is actually super impressive recently. I have loved this Pokemon. So this is the build I'm running. This is the build I run. Is you Moonlight plus that, and you have these, and you're just, again, you just can't die. But guess what? It's even better than the Eldegoss and Blissey, actually, because you have this plus. Like, if you're 12, and you have both your plus moves, and you have a Rescue Hood, you do so much healing, guys! It is crazy! You do so much healing! It is so annoying! I hate fighting into Blissey, because every freaking late game fight is, oh no, the Blissey's here, we can't do anything! It's so annoying. Oh my gosh. Anyway, other good stuff to run. Another reliable choice, of course, if you need the XP share, is XP share Resonant Guard. And, I will say, so, as for when you want to run XP share, if you don't know how to run XP share, or like when, or whether you want to stack or not, I'll say just default to XP share. Most teams need one. You need one at least. And, most supporters prefer XP share in general because they get even less farm than defenders do. Defenders get a little bit. And defenders also scaled really well with stacking, guys. Like, it's insane. We can look at numbers again, but we probably don't need to. Just suffice to say, Ho-Oh with stacks at level 13 is like a level 17 Ho-Oh, which is just an insane phrase to say. Anyway, we have these items. These are also really solid. Stacking's nice too. What else? Probably just all straightforward stuff, Let me talk some about defenders too. I'm just rambling at this point. I'll pick out my meta favorites, right? So first of all, Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is the best Pokemon in the game, hands down. Still, even after the nerfs. They're gonna nerf him again, guys, so you gotta play him if you haven't yet. they're gonna nerf him again, and then he's not gonna be good. So please play him if you want to have the best fun of your life. What I default to is, of course, stacking on defenders. So this is what you do. These are the good moves. I have a Ho-Oh guide. It's more rambling, but it talks a lot in depth about why all this stuff is good. And a lot of it is still relevant even after the nerfs. I will say Flamethrower Fly is okay still. And Flamethrower Fire Spin still sucks. Sky Attack Fire Spin is what you do. And you can also run, instead of Resonant Guard, what's the name? Weakness Policy, if you're anticipating that your team is not going to play with you the entire game. And that's actually an okay build as well. Because it makes you able to tank to 1v1 attackers more often. And if your team's not playing cohesively, that's how you get an advantage. You just like hunt people down. Because if you Sky Attack on like a, you know, like a Decidueye and then Fire Spin immediately and you're like level 11, he's just going to die. He can't do anything. You just kill him. That's why you stack, so you can do those things. So that's what you do. As you saw, XP Share Focus Band is the alternative build if you're playing with XP Share. I've tried other utility items besides Focus Band, but it's just the best on Ho-Oh because think about how Regenerator works, right? Like you want to run away and heal back up. What's that sound like? Focus Band. I'm going to take a bunch of damage, run away, and then heal back up really quickly. You get to get back in the fight even quicker with Regenerator. It is awesome. With Focus Band, it's like so hard to kill Ho in the late game. It lets you reliably get your Unite move off. So actually, if you suck at Ho-Oh, but you want to play Ho-Oh, I would say XP Share, Resident Guard, Focus Band is the build. If you have any semblance how to play Ho-Oh, you stack, and then you just solo carry every fight. There's another Pokemon where I have solo carried more games than I can count. My win rate on Ho-Oh is like 59% or something crazy. Let's go look right now. I'm going to brag for a minute. Battle Reg. Favorite Pokemon, here it is. Look at this. Current season, 57%, 169 games. This is nuts, y'all. Look at over time. My win rate didn't go down at all after the nerfs. This Pokemon's still nuts. So yeah, you stack on Ho-Oh, and then you win every game. Other defenders that are also good right now. So they brought Blastoise back a little bit. They brought Snorlax back. I would say honestly, all the defenders except the ones I don't have are worth picking. Greedent kind of sucks, but you can still meme with Greedent. It's kind of funny. All of these 8 defenders are actually very pickable right now. Even Goodra. Goodra's not horrible. It still kind of sucks. It's probably the worst of these 8, but it's still like decent. You can still win games with Goodra. I've had very much fun with Goodra. The rest of these, though, are all very cool builds, all very cool Pokemon. I have talked about some of these before, I'm sure, and I will in the future. So what I'm going to do right now is talk about 2 builds that I've enjoyed the most recently. We're going to talk about Trevenant and Snorlax. So generally, if you want to pick a good defender and you don't know what you want to do, and yes, some of these unlocked, Slowbro's free to play. You can play Slowbro. Actually, I should talk about Slowbro. I'm going to talk about Slowbro, Snorlax, and Trevenant. I'm going to do that. That's what I'm doing. So Slowbro's the easiest one. Let's talk about Slowbro first. Slowbro, when you stack, you are really, 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 really hard to kill. Especially with Amnesia and Potion. They just can't kill you. It is so annoying to kill Slowbro. If you're running Amnesia, I prefer Scald, because Amnesia lets you stand your ground, right? You're just like tanking damage and they can't kill you. And then Scald, without moving away, you can just shoot them. And you don't want to move away anyway, you just want to stand around shooting them. So Amnesia Scald is what you do for that. And if you're stacking, that's what I prefer. I think this is better for stacking, because the scale's way better in terms of independent survivability and damage dealing. And then you do your Unite move, which is incredible as well. So if you're stacking on Slowbro, if you know what you're doing, play this build. It owns. You'll have a great time. If you don't know how to stack, this is a good way to learn how to stack, because it's very straightforward. It's very simple. Slowbro's a very easy Pokemon to play. And yeah, you will just be very useful to your team. It's awesome. The other build, of course, if you're running XP Share and Focus Band, again, that's sort of the preferred build on Slowbro. What I would recommend with Potion as well, of course, is Surf Telekinesis. It gives more utility for your team, and you're already trying to help your team anyway by running XP Share and Resident Guard. So it makes you a really good helper, because Surf is really good. It's not as good damage as Scald, but it gives you a little mobility, and it stuns people. It's really annoying. And then, of course, Telekinesis is, y'all know what that is. It's the Pinata mode. He holds you from the top rope, and the team beats the crap out of you, and it's very annoying. Telekinesis is awesome. If you like to grab people and hold them in the air and destroy their lives, pick this move. So, yeah, Focus Band And the XP share plays Surf Telekinesis, stacking plays Scald, Amnesia. And it's sort of a case-by-case basis on what your team will need. The other two I want to talk about, Snorlax and Trevenant. So they buffed Snorlax recently, and Trevenant's been the same for a while, so I'll save that for last, 'cause it's sort of my pet favorite right now. It's not very good, but it's very funny. Snorlax. So, they buffed Snorlax, y'all. Flail, Yawn, and Block got buffed. They got huge buffs. It's very, very cool. Lots of people are trying it right now. What I would recommend, if you want to play this build, you play Flail, and you play Yawn. Block is fine, but I like Yawn better. And these are the items. And when you hit level, so here's what Flail does for the unknowing crowd. Basically, when you hit people, it buffs you by making you move faster and deal more attack damage. And the lower your HP, the more buff you get. And since you're a defender, you're really tanky, so it's hard to kill you. So as they're trying to kill you, you're just getting stronger and like killing them. And then at 11, when you get Flail Plus, it also gives you HP restoration on damage. So you just like, if you're just 1v1ing someone between this and the stuns off your basics, and then like all this extra attack damage and like a right-click build in your emblems, you just 1v1 people. It is insane. And then Yawn just makes it even better. If they try to get the upper hand, you just yawn on them and run away. And then of course your ulti is very nice. This is very good. This is the general build I prefer these days. If you prefer something that's a little more standard or a little more familiar, I still think Heavy Slam Yawn is fine. If you're doing that, stacking is fine, or you can run XP Share. Generally what's more popular is XP Share, Focus Band, Buddy Barrier, or Resonant Guard. Buddy Barrier is nice because your ulti makes you then like absolutely unkillable, and your Snorlax. You just give someone else like this gigantic shield, like they just won't die for your entire ulti too. And then the Focus Band, again, you're just this giant fat ass. They just can't kill you even more. You just run away a little bit, and then you heal back up, and you jump right back in. It's pretty awesome. Last, but certainly not least, Trevenant. So, I'll say before we jump into this, if you're a good little boy, if you play Woodhammer or Hornleech, you're doing God's work. Keep it up. Don't listen to anything I'm about to tell you. This is me talking to you from the dark side. This is how you play the selfish Trevenant, as I call it. Basically, this is what happens when you keep playing ranked, right? You keep spamming Trevenant, and your team just never plays with you, despite you like getting your stacks, and you're like, I'm so tanky, and I'm so able to control these fights and like be a really good frontliner for my team. I just need them to be with me, and they never will. That's when you give up and you pick this build. So this is what you do. You guys know where this is going, right? It's Curse Pain Split, y'all. So look, I have this stuff selected to pretend I'm a good boy, but I don't pick that stuff. So Curse, as y'all know, this is absolutely an annoying move against people. And with Pain Split, it's a natural combo, because the damage you deal to yourself is then dealt to them. And then the damage they dealt to them heals you. They just can't kill you. It's insane. This gives you movement speed increase. This slows them down. You just walk them down. They can't do anything. It is so much fun. And because you have no team, right? You play weakness policy. Because the Curse, okay, so here's the funniest thing. Curse, the damage that deals, triggers weakness policy. So you're always at full weakness policy, even if they're not attacking you. You can just 1v1 people, even if they're trying to run away. They literally just can't escape. You just walk them down. It's crazy. And then, of course, you stack, right? It's awesome. Great. If you want to be a good boy, you can stack with Resonant Guard. That's the good boy build. And if you want to be a helper that uses XP Share, you play XP Share, you play Resonant Guard. And then Focus Band is generally preferred again, once again, on Trevenant, because it synergizes very naturally with your ability. It gives you regeneration as you get low. As you've noticed a trend, most defenders prefer Focus Band, and that's because they're able to survive like the burst of damage more reliably than supporters in most cases. And when you can do that, that's when you can like get a lot of HP back from Focus Band, and then it gives you a ton back because you're a defender. So it makes you so much tankier. It's so useful. So that's the XP Share alt build on this one. Anyway, at the end of all that, I think the message is clear on how builds work, I hope. If it's not, leave comments, let me know. If you also just want to see specific kinds of content, let me know what you want to see. I'm trying to help y'all out. I'm trying to give some advice, some words to the people, some good educational content to help us all climb as high as we can. So share the love, y'all. Thanks for stopping. Thanks for watching. Don't play this build if you are a good boy. This is a bad boy build. And that's all. Goodbye.